Okay, you can hold on to it now as long as you need it, but after you don't need it, then it can go to a nonprofit organization. I'm concerned about shifts in the market. I don't want to outlive my money. Concern about current income. Okay, so what are the possibilities for that particular donor? Maybe a charitable gift annuity as an income stream there, okay, to the donor. I'm not sure I'm going to have enough money when I retire. Okay, future income or income at a later time. We have an instrument called a deferred charitable gift annuity or deferred gift annuity. Maybe an option for that kind of a donor or for you. 3 more options here. I need to save for my kids' education. I need to take care of my aging parents. This is the proverbial sandwich generation, right? Those of us who are baby boomers, we might still be sending kids through school, and then we've got the parents, the aging parents we've got to take care of as well. Or I need to save for my own retirement. Okay? So what am I trying to do? I'm trying to either build or preserve current investments or savings. Okay? So what are we talking about here? Charitable remainder trusts, gift annuities, deferred gift annuities. And again, Brian and others will tell you more about how those things work, but I just want to introduce those concepts right now. Okay? Now here's an odd one. At least my experience, this has been very odd. And by odd, I mean unusual. Okay? Bequests are pretty common. Charitable gift annuities are growing in popularity, have become very popular in recent years and very common in recent years. Deferred gift annuities, I know a little bit less about how often those occur today. Charitable remainder trusts are a favored kind of planned gift. But there's one called a charitable lead trust, okay, which is an unusual instrument, but has some relevance in particular situations. For example, someone is thinking about leaving the assets to the grandkids. Okay, I want to leave my assets to my grandkids, but my current tax situation is really eroding those assets. Okay, there's an opportunity perhaps for a charitable lead trust, which you'll hear more about later. Okay, so you hear terms like that, or you hear donors talk that way, or you have those concerns, you may be a prime prospective planned gift donor, or you may have prime planned gift prospective donors in your own work. Okay, now Jim mentioned the value and the services of a community foundation. Before I go any further, can I get an idea of the size of the nonprofits that you're part of? How many of you have an annual operating budget of greater than $5 million? Okay. How many have an annual operating budget between 2.5 up to 5 million? Okay, less than 2 up, 2.5 down to 1 million. So 1 million to 2.5. Okay, and less than $1 million annual operating budget. Okay, thank you. How many of you, regardless of the size of your annual operating budget, how many of you have a full-time development or fundraising staff? Okay, how many of you have part-time development staff? All right, anybody doesn't have a development staff at all, but you're the executive director and you are the development staff? Okay, all right. And how many of you have someone dedicated specifically to planned giving? Just one? Okay. All right. Not unusual, by the way. We find that a lot in the people who take our courses, that either they don't have a dedicated development staff at all, or they don't have someone dedicated specifically to planned giving. Okay? Planned giving is an area that has not yet been fully, the potential of it is not yet, it's not even close to being fully realized in the nonprofit world. Everything else, practically every nonprofit organization is doing everything else they can do to raise money, right? So what are the ways we raise money? Special events, direct mail, email blasts, social media, grant proposals, what else? Anything else I left out? Face-to-face personal solicitation of major gifts. And we've saturated the market with all of those devices and all those strategies, right? Because every time you send out a direct mail piece, probably 6 other nonprofits in the community are doing the same thing. So you got a lot of competition going on out there. Planned giving is a field that has not yet been fully saturated, and there's great potential. Couple of asides here about data. By the way, I guess I should ask this. Did Gene use any of the giving data when he presented here a couple weeks ago? Some? Was it from Giving USA, or was it high net worth, or was it both? High net worth studies? Okay. And was it the information about what high net worth households, how they make decisions about planned gifts, and was it related to taxation? Okay. All right. Well, are you familiar with the general data that comes from a publication called Giving USA? Who's familiar with that? Okay. So how much money was given to charitable organizations in 2013? Remember? It was over $300 billion, right? That's a B, $300 billion. I can't remember if it was 326 or 362, but there's a lot of money given to charitable organizations, right? Okay. Do you know how much of personal? Let me rephrase that question. 80% of that money, well, 72%. 72% of that money comes from individuals in the form of outright gifts. 72%. Okay? Do you know what percentage of disposable household income that charitable giving number represents? 2%. Okay. So it's between 1.7 and 2.2% of disposable personal income goes to charitable contributions on an annual basis. Only 2%. Okay. So there's a lot of room for growth there, right? But where are most people's greatest assets held? Not in their income, but in their wealth portfolios or their total assets. Okay, so when we fundraise, we don't fundraise as effectively as we might if we encourage people to give from their wealth, not from their income. So the chances are we're not going to move that needle from 2% to 3 or 4 or 5%. People challenge us all the time to do that, to move that needle. But I'm not sure we're going to be able to do that if we ask people to give from income. Why? Some of those things that I just read to you earlier. People worry about outliving it. People worry about having enough of it to take care of their health or to take care of their kids or to take care of aging parents. So we have to shift our thinking a little bit to there are ways to be philanthropic besides giving from income. So some combination of income and assets, we can probably move the needle in terms of total philanthropy. Okay, so one of the arguments for if you're not involved in planned giving, that's one of the arguments to think about becoming involved in planned giving. And take advantage of the resources that are available to you. If you can't afford a planned giving expert, figure out a way to get that expertise provided for you through some other means. Okay, so I'm a believer in planned giving. I'm a believer in the strength of planned giving from a donor perspective and from an organizational perspective, because I think this is the way we build security for our nonprofit organizations. This is the way we build endowment, and this is the way we protect ourselves. That old famous phrase from, I think it was one of the Rockefellers, this is the way we protect our assets in perpetuity, which he described as a long time. Okay, all right, I'm going to skip across some of these early slides because they are the cartoons, and I've decided I'd rather come back to those. So, yeah, we've got plenty of time, right? Okay. So I'm going to start here. Can you read that okay? Okay. In fundraising, we use this proverbial conventional model called the pyramid. And we typically refer to it as a donor pyramid. And in the donor pyramid, we usually have the fundraising strategies overlaid on the various levels of the pyramid. I'm using this to describe donor motivations. Okay, so there are various types of donors, and you may be one or more of these. So one type of donor is the lowest level of the pyramid here. The broad base of the pyramid is what we call the impulsive donor. Now, what's an impulsive